This guy is one of the most miserable people you'll ever meet. He's got a terrible marriage. He's, got issues with, so many areas of his life, and he owns that. I know people who, and I'm sure we all would agree, if you got all this money and suddenly your health falls apart, you will spend every last dollar to get your health back. Self-compassion and what it does for you and how it improves your hormonal levels, how it actually calms your adrenals. Whereas people who speak negatively about themselves all the time, they stress their parasympathetic, their cortisol, and their brain dysregulates. And just be truthful with that and then see where it takes you, rather than kind of have this conflict and all that kind of stuff. If you do a mental health course, people do everything from sex addictions to drug addictions to food addictions to everything.
I think that's what we see a lot of women not being able to make money either, because their addiction is distraction. And it's so easy to be distracted in today's world, and they're focusing all over the place on all the wrong things. People aren't moving forward, and they're staying broke, and they're staying so stuck inside this system, which is gradually suffocating us. It really is the frog in the pot. They're turning up the water to boiling point, and many people have become a frog that's unable to jump out or doesn't know how. Everything we do is always we're actually seeking that, and often we choose unhealthy ways to seek that out, but that's really what we're chasing.
If you just decided to stop using your arms in a crazy scenario for the next 3 months, you probably would find in 3 months' time, you're like, what the fuck's going on with my arms? It's just because if you don't use it, you lose it. Because that's a classic example of building a life worth living. Like, steps you could take today could empower your life for 10 years from now. Half the problem with people living longer is we run out of money as a society, because when you die when you're 65, it's kind of easy because they've proven that by the time you're 60, most of your major income earning kind of drive is lessened. I would love to do a course like this because I'll share something I haven't shared publicly before, literally until right now at all. When my wife died 3.5 years ago, I realized after a year and after 2 years, I wasn't coping. I'm going to check into a mental health clinic for 4 weeks, and I'm going to check into an awake one, and I'm going to give myself like a month to really focus on creating my future by getting my mind right. It was literally, to this day, the greatest decision I've probably ever made in my life, turned my life around. I often stay up late because I just don't want to miss a moment of the day because I'm enjoying it so much. And I often go to bed sometimes a bit sad because I've enjoyed the day so much and I want it to keep going. I've had to learn to become more patient, whereas naturally I'm a bit snappy and impatient. My meltdowns used to be legendary among staff, and I've realised that doesn't help anything. And the company's been stabilising, it's been improving by doing that. It's like, and what Marshall Linehan talks about is, for example, you might sit there and binge eat like burgers, popcorn, and drink Coke. And you might get away with it for one day, but you do it for 2 weeks and you go, oh, you feel like shit. Whereas by contrast, you might start a routine today of the gym. If nothing else, you have to admit it'll be a great adventure for me. When I heard about that, I thought, shit. So I jumped in on it and literally got the whole thing paid for through private health, like world-class treatment. Learning common law and learning your rights, it doesn't just change your relationship with the government, it will actually change your relationship with everyone around you. The reason why people start doing addictions, or they start doing things like biting their nails, or you start doing things like random habits or spending money on a shopping spree, is just to fill an inner void or an addiction to escape a disempowering reality that you're feeling. In other words, your past doesn't define your future. And I tell this to my kids. I say, whatever we did right and wrong in our parenting, up until 18, it's on us. Over 18, it's on you. In other words, you can change your life. You can change your reality. Sometimes you roll the dice and sometimes it doesn't work. And marriage is, according to stats, a 50-50 gamble. You roll the dice and you're either going to get it right or get it wrong. I said, even though I think I'm sovereign, sometimes I ask myself, am I really sovereign? And even this whole trip last week, I've been discovering things where I actually wasn't sovereign. I met a 53-year-old woman who's now literally, her marriage ended really badly about 12 years ago when she was like 40. Alcoholic husband, completely ignored her kids. She's now built 8 wellness centres in 13 years, which she said at times, but she said, by and large, I serve people with wellness and I get men to help me. I get men to put things in place. And her wellness clinic is probably the best in Bali that I've been to. So I go to it pretty regularly because she cares. Because women care at levels that men don't. And as soon as I told them, let's do the retreat in January at a better time, the relief in their faces was just like untold. And, and this is why I think women, you can add a value to the world that we men can't give. She said to me, I'm actually happy being single. She said, because I'm surrounded by good men. She said, I'm still close to you. She's close with Trent, who Jen knows about. She's close to many men. And she goes, yeah, I'd love to meet a man, but I don't need one anymore. I've always found the whole idea of gender pay gap bizarre. I've just said, look, if a woman's better than a man, she gets paid more. If she's worse than a man, she gets paid less. She said, do you really want to be partnering with the Australian government with all this bullshit? And she said, fuck them. She goes, I'm not giving them that stuff. She said, I want to choose who I partner with. A sovereign just means, or the man or woman, is I'm living my life on my terms, but I'm also going to respect the terms of others. Natural rights are born with us, and they cannot be taken away from us by human power. So what I'd be saying to the government, say, okay, if you get rid of all income taxes and you charge on a rights by use basis for the maintenance, I can live with that. I mean, if you did, you're self-entitled narcissist, really, who wants to live off freebie, literally. You tax our other stuff by force, everything by force, and now you want to say, pay for a barbecue, fuck you. Am I right? And common law is about getting back into your own sovereignty first and foremost and recognising this. And well, it's easy. And it's fair to say right now in the world, it is getting worse. And I think many, just type a Y or raise your hand if you really at times feel overwhelmed what's going on in the world and how to get yourself financially in a situation to handle managing the rising cost of living. Just type a, and the biggest things to realise is when we go through this with legal notices, it's just another way of putting empowerment. But all empowerment starts from within. That's where it starts from. There's always a way around things. That's the first thing that empowerment teaches you. And that's with anything. There's always a way around things. There's always a way to fix any situation. And that's the first rule of life I want all of you to create for yourself. There's always a way to fix any situation. What astonished me in COVID was I would actually contact my friends and show them the way around things, and they'd say, oh, that sounds too hard. And they wouldn't do it. There's nothing that a woman hates more than a man-child getting emotional. I love what this 53-year-old wellness said. By taking difficult steps when she was in her early 40s, she's now 53. She literally travels around the world. She's got a great relationship with her kids. She's got her kids now. She's got a new man in her life, everything. And a successful man who treats her really, really well. Bringing the difficult things now, personally, unless there's a miracle, I'd be very surprised if in 3 years from now in Australia, we aren't by and large a socialist society under a totalitarian government. And if that's the destiny that you're okay with, that's fine. If that's not the destiny that you want for yourself and you really do want to do something about your life, and you also want to learn to be empowered in business, because if you're going to do business, imagine being disempowered in business. The government nicely paid 25 grand for me to learn world-class mental health stuff, literally. So I'm going to be giving you a sneak preview of that, and I can promise you, I will be so convinced this course will change your life if you do it.
I think at this point, we either need to be consciously and practically stepping into becoming sovereign, or realize that what we're doing is just sitting there hoping that someone else is going to fix all this. I think at some points in history, we have had governments that did genuinely care for and work for the people, but that is not the time in history we're in right now. Neither side of the government is any better. And it has to be a complete overhaul of our electoral system. Like, a lot has to happen for it to get better at this point.
And if you do nothing about it, by default, you've agreed to everything that's happening around you. Especially if you're financially not in a great position, you need to do this course even more, because you need to know how to stand up for yourself. You need to know how to speak out. And so in the end, I had to discipline myself with my eating. I had to get back to water drinking, doing stuff I really didn't feel like doing, and doing some stuff I'd rather not done. But I'm a lot better now, like really in great shape, And so life is about doing things that bring joy now, and then doing things that's going to help your future self.
There's nothing more soul destroying for a human than feeling like there's no hope to change the future. People have forgotten that they can create absolutely any life that they want. And this is it. This is their time to do that, to create any life. They've given up on that.
To kick the habit that my mind is breathing.